What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and I leave YouTube for 2 days. 2 days just to eat some freaking Thanksgiving dinner with my family. I come back and there are rumors swirling around like crazy, and the majority of them are not true at all. Yes, I have received all of your messages. Yes, I know about the rumors. I've looked at them, and I am here to clear some things up. Now, what has been said over the past couple of days is that CPS, Child Protection Services, they're finishing up on their report on Billy Joe, and that law enforcement any moment now is going to kick in the door and arrest Billy Joe for neglecting children. The reality is that I don't believe that one bit at all. Now, the reason people believe this is because someone, I guess, was on a recent live stream with the Crypt Keeper, or they sent a Crypt Keeper a message or something. It's hard keeping up with these rumors, but this is what has been said. Hello, Crypt Keeper. I am sure you have heard that Leilani was arrested for killing my little cousin. I hope you will be publicly apologizing to my cousin Daniel. You ran your mouth slandering my cousin when he was never a suspect. Never from day one. You stood up blaming everyone but the POS family who neglected and abused Quinton, including Billy Joe. Yes, she will be charged for neglect. We have confirmation of that. CPS is finalizing their report, which will be sent to law enforcement for prosecution. You abandoned and neglected your children. You left them to be abused, so I never once expected a POS like you to be the voice of the victim. Your own father murdered a child. How effing sick you and your family is. Okay, see, this is what I try to tell you all. This is the type of messages YouTubers get on a daily basis. Now, I'm not saying that this YouTuber, maybe this YouTuber deserves it. Some may argue that. But what I'm telling you is, on a daily basis, I wake up to people cussing me the hell out, wishing death upon me, and all types of stuff just because maybe I don't agree with their theory in a true crime case, or maybe because of something I said about a celebrity, you name it. So I understand what it feels like to wake up to these messages. Now, a lot of what was said in this little statement, I get it. Because there were people out there who were trying to blame Danny. They were blaming the babysitter. They were pointing the finger everywhere while ignoring the fact that Billy Joe and Leilani were the ones responsible. Or more specifically, Leilani was the one responsible. But at the end of the day, the kids were under Billy Joe's custody. Billy Joe is, I guess, what people viewed as the head of household in that home, the head of the family, if you will. So people are all going to look at Billy Joe. And let's be honest, when you have 2 kids now in jail for murder, you have one grandson who appears, it looks like he was murdered inside of your house, people are not going to look at you the same way ever again. And that's not me talking, that's reality. Reality, okay? Now, like she said, or like this person says, I agree with some of the stuff they're saying about, trying to point fingers at Danny, babysitter, yada, yada. I've defended the babysitter since day one because I never thought it was necessary for anyone to attack the babysitter, to dox her, to be putting out her, information about her arrest history, her criminal history. That was never needed. I will, however, acknowledge, though, that at this point, after sitting with this case for however many days now, over a month, it got to the point where I was kind of like, okay, babysitter, maybe now you should kind of, fall into the background and allow things to happen. But she kept making those videos and putting herself in the forefront. But at the same time, I don't think it's my place or anyone else's place necessarily to tell the babysitter to be quiet and sit back and say nothing, because her life is directly affected. Yeah, it's easy for people on YouTube to say things like that because you weren't watching Quinton every day. But for someone who is watching and babysitting Quinton every day, and was a daily part of their lives, I understand maybe she feels the need to talk about it and stuff like that. But at the same time, she's obviously started talking to some of the wrong people. But hey, it is what it is. But the whole part about CPS finalizing this report and they're all going to come and arrest Billy Joe, that's fake. That's not true. That's not real. In fact, this person that is claiming to be related to Danny, to be Danny's cousin, is not really Danny's cousin at all. And the reason we know that is because we know Danny's cousin, and we've been hearing from Danny's cousin for a while now. Danny's cousin, Keisha Yunkin, had this to say earlier today. Caitlin Turnbow has no relation to my family. She isn't mine or Daniel's cousin. We do not know her. She has been commenting on Crypt Keepers Live from what information that I have been sent. Just wanted to clean this all up. My family or cousin Daniel would not bother to reach out to any YouTuber, rather that be by email. We also know grammar and how to spell Leilani's name. Now, if you go back and look at the email, Leilani's name is spelled wrong in the email. But that doesn't surprise me because watching this case and seeing other people talk about this case, there are a good handful of YouTubers out there who have spelled Quinton's name wrong, and they've spelled Leilani's name wrong the whole entire time, especially the ones who are sitting outside the house. They could not get the spelling down pat for these people's names if their life depended on it. So the cousin, the real cousin, is denying that this other person even exists. And one person says, Caitlin Turnbow, this is Danny's cousin. I'll be eating popcorn watching when cops give the police their report and BJ goes to jail for neglect. The police said no more arrests for his direct murder. That has nothing to do with yada yada. The girl below has no relation to our family. She has no clue what she's talking about at all. This was sent to me from Crypt Keeper's YouTube channel. Whoever wrote that hangs out in your YouTube live, especially when they know about your father. Just keep in mind, none of my family or Daniel's friends will reach out, email, comment, or talk to you. Okay, so one thing that's confusing me here is, who's this father? They say your father killed, your own father murdered a child. So I'm confused. Like, are they talking about Billy Joe's father? But I think what they're saying, I'm sorry. Okay. Whoever wrote that hangs out in your YouTube live, especially when they know about your father. Okay. So they're not talking about Billy Joe's family. They're talking about the YouTuber's family. The Crypt Keeper, apparently something about her dad murdering a child. I don't know. I don't even care. It's so much going on right now. But the reason I make this video is once again to clear up some things. All that child protection service talk, Billy Joe's going to be arrested any moment, it's not real. Okay? It's fake. That's not my opinion. I understand a lot of you all want Billy Joe to be arrested. And also I have said that I don't think that's necessary. But this is not my opinion. This is factual. That this person claiming to be Danny's cousin is not really Danny's cousin. And Danny's real cousin has confirmed that. Now, can something happen to Billy Joe still? Maybe. But law enforcement stated that they did not expect to make any more arrests in this case. And I think they meant that. I don't think they're going to change their mind about that. But the investigation is ongoing. As far as Billy Joe goes and neglecting these kids, because I know that a lot of people have been upset because these kids were technically under Billy Joe's care. Billy Joe technically had custody of these kids. So a lot of people feel like Billy Joe's somewhat responsible for leaving them home with Leilani. Now, the reason I cut Billy Joe just a tiny bit of slack is because, all right, If Billy Joe had left the kids behind, specifically with Leilani, and it was just Leilani there, then it would be a whole different story for me. Then I would be like, okay, lock her up right now. But the reality is, Billy Joe, and listen, I'm not saying that she should have done it. I think, obviously, now we see that she should have never left them kids behind. But going forward, she left the kids behind with not just Leilani, but with Leilani's boyfriend, with Leilani's brother, with her man, or her husband. We never really see much from him, do we? He kind of fell all the way in the background. And the babysitter was already scheduled to keep Quinton that day, and I assume the days going forward. So it's not like Billy Joe was like, hey, I'm going to go out of town. Here's these kids that I know you're not supposed to have. She went out of town, leaving Quinton basically with her whole family. Her husband, her husband, her daughter, her daughter's boyfriend, and her other child, Leilani's brother. So there was a household full of people there, not to mention Quinton's other siblings. Also, that morning, by around 5:30 or 6 in the morning, Quinton was already, and the kids were already supposed to be with the babysitter. So I understand that we can be harsh on Billy Joe for leaving the kids behind, and I understand that technically she shouldn't have, but she left them behind with some sort of a plan. The babysitter was going to take care of them. Left them behind in a household full of people, and yet this tragedy still happened. So I just want people to keep that in mind when you're really thinking about the situation critically, because I do think that makes somewhat of a difference. Now, I know in some people's mind it won't make a difference at all, and that's fine. We're all free to have our own opinions here. But the fact remains the same that Child Protection Services, I feel like if they were going to do something about this, they would have already done it. So I don't think that we're going to see in a couple of days or a week or two Child Protection Services write up these papers and police come in and arrest Billy Joe for that. Now, if something in this investigation is uncovered that may lead law enforcement to believe that Billy Joe knew about this or that someone else had something to do with this, then yeah, I do think more arrests will be made. But I honestly think, and I know with these true crime cases, it's easy to go crazy and come up with all these scenarios, but oftentimes, more often than not, it's the most likely scenario. And the most likely scenario is here that Leilani did something to this child and disposed of him. And no one knew about it. And it happened in a tight little window, a tight little time frame. And if anything, we know Billy Joe wasn't even there. So if anything, if anyone is worried about anyone, I really think we need to get down to the bottom of what's going on with that boyfriend. And that's not me saying that he's guilty or has anything to do with this. I just want to know what he knows because, I don't know. It definitely seems kind of off to me. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.